Hello, friends. I'm Spire Meteorologist James Van Fleet. Hope you've had a great week so far. In today's edition of our Spire Weather and Climate video, we're going to circle back to the massive Arctic outbreak and the impacts that will have on businesses, operations, energy traders, you name it. This will impact over half of the country starting in this weekend's timing, but really early next week is when the peak cold, frozen temperatures move in. So, starting with our North American high resolution sector, to compare, most global models are around 12 kilometers. This is actually down to 3 kilometers, and it goes hour by hour out to 6 days. So, as we zoom in, I want to show you that cold air starting over late Friday and early Saturday. This starts to knock on the door of the Canadian US border and starts to move in shortly after midnight into the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Montana. That's just the first push. It'll get another surge of Arctic air between Saturday and Sunday, and that's what's impacting much of the US starting Sunday and going through the rest of the weekend. So take a look, and you can see as this dives down, the kind of temperatures that we're talking about are usually some of the coldest we would see on any given winter in areas like Minnesota, Michigan, North Dakota, and Montana. So it's not that we haven't seen these temperatures before, but it will be the first time this year that we're seeing such widespread cold. For example, Minnesota has hit temperatures in the negatives, single digits, and even teens in some places. So this will be the second time for you there. But you can see north of the Twin Cities over central and northern Minnesota, negative 15 by the time we're at early Monday morning. And if I can back up a little bit to around sunrise, and you can see actually a little colder at negative 16, same for the Dakotas. Around Chicago, we're looking at -1. Areas around Kansas City, 4 or 5 degrees Fahrenheit, just barely about 2 degrees in St. Louis. And of course, with the elevation, it's even worse. Once you get into the mountains of Colorado, negative 30. Makes my bones hurt. How about you? And up into Wyoming and Montana in the elevation as well. -31. Again, that's not a wind chill. That's not Celsius. That is Fahrenheit actual temperature. And as we roll through the day on Monday, we'll see another return Tuesday. And then all of that cold that's in the north and central U.S. will slide and hang over the northeast U.S. Tuesday and Wednesday. So areas like, yes, Pennsylvania, out around the Pittsburgh area, -3, -4. As we get into upstate New York, yeah, -15 around Buffalo and Rochester in the minus single digits. And then coming up into northeastern North New York, upstate area, we're looking at -15 as well. So this kind of cold, when we're talking that far below the freezing mark, pipes are freezing, a lot of liquids are freezing, breaking pipes. Trucks in your supply chain and fleet can often have issues, especially if they're older vehicles, with starting and actually maintaining a good heating temperature for employees. So a lot to consider here as you have a couple of days to finalize preparations. But having said that, this is one of the coldest outbreaks of the winter so far that we will have seen, and it will impact so many folks. So please make sure you're paying attention to this one and getting all of your assets and people lined up and ready to go. By the time we get into around early Wednesday morning, most of that will be hanging off of the Great Lakes and the Northeast, and we start to see a rebound in temperatures, but still in the Dakotas and Minnesota, we're still talking single digits to teens and low 20s as we get into the early hours on Wednesday. It will be around Thursday before we start to see an improvement for these affected areas that is significant, where we'll start to climb back. One last thing I want to touch on. This tropical system, the cyclone that we saw between Madagascar and Mozambique, it is moving on, but has restrengthened somewhat as it makes its way in between the two. But going through the next couple of days, you can see here it is right here, Cat 3 status. It is Dakotas, and this system right here goes off into the South Pacific and dissolves. So the only heads up I want to give here is any ship traffic that are opting to go around South Africa versus going through the Suez Canal. Marine traffic likely has been heavily impacted for about a week now, but as this moves off to the southeast in the next couple of days, seas will settle down. Going to need a couple more days for them to completely calm down, but we're on the right path. So if you do track marine assets and shipping and your supply chain, just know that the areas that if you've had any of your product slowed down from this storm, rightfully so, with the ships needing to get to some safety and able to proceed further. That is improving in the next couple of days. So any delays you've had should start to recover, and hopefully they can make up lost time. So that's a look at what we're tracking around the world today. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you with one more edition of Spire Weather and Climate Video for the week on Friday. Take care.